It is the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour, and so many things to talk about. Starting, Bryan, with we have Xavier McKinney on Instagram with Jaire Alexander. And I don't know why they did it, but I'm a huge fan of Xavier McKinney. I said if I was Bryan Goody, I would just go to Xavier McKinney and say, should we have Jaire back? Yes or no? And I would trust him enough, whatever his answer is. I'm not asking him to explain it. But then I keep thinking of Tony Smith, who tells me, understand this, players are players. And owners and teams are owners. They're thinking about the team. We're thinking about us. It's our life, and we're always going to support the player. So take it from there as to should you, if you're a team, or maybe GMs don't ever do it, and what does this say to you about Jaire Alexander?
Yeah, I mean, I think do teams do it? I'll start there because I think there's certain players that GMs will ask, right? And do speak to on that. And I think we all know who those types of guys are, right? I think those are their bell cows of the franchise. And who those guys are the quarterbacks, obviously the Aaron Rodgers, the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, those types of guys, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, those guys get called up and do they make the final decision? No, but do they get asked their opinion? Yes. And do those opinions weigh heavy? Absolutely. Do they, make the final decision? No, but their opinions do get heard. Do guys like my opinions get heard? Absolutely not. They do not care about guys like my opinion because my opinions do not matter. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what Tony said. Guys are always going to support players at the end of the day. I mean, you're looking at a certain handful of guys like the quarterbacks. They're, as much as they are pro player and they are about the other guys in the locker room as well, they're in a different stratosphere, right? Like they're you know what I mean? Like they're I mean, you want to, they get called coaches of the field for a reason, right? Like they're players, they're coaches, they do everything like that. That's what faces of the franchise do. So like they're a different aspect, right? Like, but guys, like normal guys, and like I'm not saying McKinney's a normal guy, right? Like because he is a special player and he's a special talent and all that, but like he's not a quarterback. He's not one of those types of guys. At least not yet. It's his first year in Green Bay. He now in 2 or 3 years, he may develop into that type of guy, right? Like a Charles Woodson type of guy. He could develop into that. Not saying he can't. But he's probably not making that type of pull or decision at this point in time in his career there. But guys are always going to tend to lean with players, right? Like they're always going to tend to side with their guys and say, yeah, like I if they were to ask that, like I think we should give him another shot, or I think you should keep him around. I think he's talented, or this and that. I think he can contribute. So I think that's why GMs and coaches or what it may be tend to stay away from asking other players that question because I think they know what they're going to get, right? Like rarely are you going to get from another player, oh, this guy's a bad guy, unless like it's obvious that he's a bad guy or a bad player, right? Like because then everyone knows that. Like it's very easy to see. So I think it's pretty easy to see those things. In the case of Jaire, like you and I continue to talk about this, and I'll continue to talk about it. He for how good he's been for Green Bay, and I understand the last few years how good of a player he is. And Green Bay continues to work this out, and obviously Goody didn't make it any easier for anyone to kind of decipher through the messaging at the meetings that he was just at and what he said to the media. They're in no rush, right, to get anything done or to make a decision. It doesn't seem like they are. I mean, they tried to put some deadline of the draft on it. There's no deadline of the draft on it. That's not happening. Like there's no like hard deadline of the draft. They have all the way up until kickoff to make that decision, or the final cut down day of 53, right? Because that's when the salary becomes guaranteed. That's essentially what it is. So it's very interesting to see how long this is going to go, and if Jaire's healthy, and they can figure out is that salary worth it, or if or what happens if he's on the roster and he's healthy and he's motivated and he's ready to go, makes the defense a lot better. So like I'm excited to see kind of if he does stay, how this thing looks, but there's a lot of time left for this thing to play out.
I think you've explained it well to me, and that is, because I would have thought that you were important enough or a veteran at a position like an offensive line. Like, how good is this person? And then I realized most players would be hesitant to tell the truth because you never know what happens or what gets back. So I'm going to be supportive of everyone, making me translate to think that Xavier's just trying to make on his Instagram, make Jaire look good, make him look normal, like realize that this is a pretty good guy, or it's a little pump up for Jaire, whether or not that has anything to do with the Packers and whether he's going to play. It's just I want people to know I like the guy, and if this would help him in any way, good. Whether it does or not, probably not, but you never know. I do like your point, because I start thinking, what if at work they asked me about somebody who's doing what I'm doing? I think I'm staying out of that. I don't think I want to go there. But as you stated, it's different with quarterbacks because they're so important that they might make a decision to keep the quarterback happy because he's that important. And we all recognize we're not that important. So while they ask us, they're still going to do what they want to do anyway. So why would you give them an honest answer? There's no benefit to you unless you know you're important enough that they're going to do it to keep you happy rather than even the player himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, you got to look at this thing one way or another. Like, you want to be honest about the situation, but at the same time, like, you have to look at your status in the organization, right? Like, and for a guy like myself, I've never got asked the question, but if it were to ever happen, it doesn't matter what I say. Like, they're going to do whatever they want anyway. So, like, the first thing I'm not going to do, especially if it's a guy that I think is a good guy, right? And you know, we'll just compare it somewhat to what Jaire's gone through. Like, he's had injury issues. He's a good player. We know he's a good player, but he's had injury issues. I know the talent. I know this. I know that. I'm certainly not going to bash the player. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that because I wouldn't want a guy to do that to me, right? Like, so like that would be the way that I would look at it. But at the same, like, because at the end, like, again, I repeat it, the organization is going to do what they want to do anyway.
Right.
Like, so like, why would I go up there and go, this guy's this, he's that, and then if they keep him, then in some way it gets back to that player, then the locker room is a little testy.
I mean, in our discussion, I realized I talk about this like it's on some different planet. We all have lived it. I'm going to say I'm going to go out of my way, and I have, for someone who thought had been treated unfairly from a negative standpoint and was way better than people thought. If they're way worse than they think, that's on them. That's their job to figure this out. So you're smiling. ESPN's Fantasy Focused Football Podcast is coming to Green Bay on April the 23rd. Doing a live show at the Tundra Trio. ESPN Wisconsin wants to send you and a friend up to Green Bay to see the show happen live. Right now, caller number 4, 1-800-990-3776. Caller number 4 wins 2 tickets to ESPN's Fantasy Focused Football live at the Tundra Trio. See the show up close, meet all the hosts, and get complimentary food and drinks and Fantasy Focused Football Podcast merchandise. Free's good. Caller 4, 1-800-990-3776 right now. Visit ESPNWisconsinContest.com for full details. And you remember the moments from the magical March in 2015. Frank Kaminsky leading the charge for Bo Ryan in Wisconsin in a run to the championship. Relive it all with Made 'em Believe on June 26th. Join Frank, Sam Decker, Coach Bo Ryan for an intimate night at the Orpheum Theater in Madison to celebrate the 10-year anniversary. Tickets are now on sale at uwhoops2015.com. That's uwhoops2015.com. Made 'em Believe, June 26th at the Orpheum Theater in Madison, presented by Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, Potosi Varsity Ale, Potosi Hard Seltzer, and M3 Insurance. Quarter 2 with Bryan Bulaga. Next. It is the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour, our first quarter discussion that we're not important. And deep down, I just think you're way more important. And if not you, you would think Bakhtiari, or there's somebody who's kind of the boss of the offensive line. But I now realize it'd be the same with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. If you want me to say something bad about a teammate, why not to have him? I'm not going there. And at some point, right, the players or the guy management probably knows that. Plus, I don't know. I don't think it's true of players, but I'm sure they're coaches that are viewed of as more likely snitch. That if you're going to say something to a assistant coach, there's some you might talk to and some you might not. You don't have to mention any names, but I'm sure that gets passed out, right?
Yeah, I mean, you listen, there's certain things that, to me, honestly, and you just don't do, right? Like, I mean, there's certain things that in an NFL locker room, there's certain things you just don't do and say, and how you go about talking about other guys, right? Like, I mean, like at the end of the day, right? Like, I understand fans want the best players on their team and the best, everything for each team and all that. But like, we have to remember too, right? Like, these are guys like livelihoods, and we have to allow the teams to make the decisions on players. As players, we can't be going around like back, behind guys' backs, trying to like backstab players in the locker. Like, that is like not okay. Like, that is an unhealthy locker room. Like, that is not the way to build a culture in the locker room, is guys doing that. And like, if you have a healthy locker room, the top identifies the guys upstairs, identify the guys that are good dudes, that can play well, that are good people. They keep those guys in there, and they know when to re-sign them, when to keep them, to have them stay around and all that, or from a talent standpoint and all those things. There's really never times where, there's always a rare occasion where the people have to ask, like, what do you think about this guy? Or let's hear, because if that's going on in other buildings, you got a lot of questions going on with who's managing the team, like who's bringing in these people, or what's going on with the ownership, or what's going on with the GM, or what's so questionable, or what's going on with the coaching. Like in Green Bay, that's never been the case, like, because there's been such steady leadership all the time from McCarthy and Ted, and then from obviously Goody and LaFleur. Like, they bring in solid people, so like there's really never been that issue, right? So for it to happen, like, you have to have some like shaky leadership, and maybe that happens in other buildings.
So if it happened, and you played on one other team, I'm not asking about it. If that happened, you wouldn't look at management as much as you'd look at the players, or you'd say, I'm sure people have gone to a new team and gone, what the hell is going on here? How does it get like this? Either they didn't pick the right people, and then the people above it, because it doesn't sound like, while it's a football team, it's not, you're around each other enough. It's not that hard for people to figure out. Most people, as players, as coaches, you can be surprised once in a while, but you get a pretty good idea, right? You're just around them all the time. People show up who they are, pretty much, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, exactly. I mean, listen, you spend more time with the guys than you do with your families. I mean, that's just what it is. Like, you go home at night at 6:30, you get to see your wife and kids for 4 hours and go to bed, and wake up and go back and spend time with the guys and your coaches for the entire day. So you spend more time with them. You get to know them. You get to know everyone on your team way more. So you have a good feel for who everyone is on your team, from the coaches, from the players. So from an organizational standpoint, like, it's from the top down of who they bring in. And if that's the culture in the locker room, that's a top down thing, right? Like, that's not like like everyone wants to say, well, that's the culture of the locker room. Well, it's who the top is bringing into the locker room that starts the culture, right? Like obviously the guys inside the locker room have to harvest this thing and make it right. But the guys inside the locker room can't kick guys out. They don't have the power to cut guys and bring guys in. We don't have that power. That's only upstairs.
And you're worried
so, like,
about your job. I think I keep thinking of Tony Smith looks at me and goes, "You don't get it. This is job. This is a job.
Yes.
To you, it's the great Green Bay Packers. To me, it's my job." And you have that
Yes.
same look. And you don't want fans to think you don't care. But Tony's like, I can't care like they do. It's my job. That's what I care about the most. For me, my family, just my job.
Yeah. And like I said, at the end of the day, like it's our livelihood. So like
Yes.
as much as we want it to be a good environment, you can only do so much, right? Like you can only
Yes, and you want to keep getting paid. All right, I got to do these things. We'll move on to the Packers and learning that Bryan Bulaga is exactly the same as Tony Smith. It's jobs. Come on. This is not waving a flag hoping they win. It's my job. All right, American Place Casino, located in Lake County, Illinois. They have great table games. They have great slot machines. They got the sports book. They got great food. You get all their specials at AmericanPlace.com. Play 500 on us promotion. But I tell you only one thing. American Place Casino, just a half hour south of Franklin. American Place Casino, just a half hour south of Franklin. Did I tell you? It's just a half hour south of Franklin. You sick and tired of me saying that? Yep, that's what I want you to say. Homer, I know. And actually, 38 minutes if you want to be precise. American Place Casino. And Higher Love is the only UP cultivator offering organic, clean, green certified products, which means you can count on them to provide only the good stuff and none of the bad stuff. 8 retail locations across the Upper Peninsula, 2 stores just over the border in Menominee and Ironwood. And yes, I got my times right here. Just over the border in Menominee, 18 seconds over the border. And yes, Higher Love, less than an hour from Green Bay and less than 2.5 hours from Milwaukee. And I will tell you exactly, it is 2 hours and 18 minutes. I'm here to help. Higher Love, the only UP cultivator offering organic, clean, green, certified products. And coming up very soon, Bucks basketball, and Bryan Bulaga and I will be YouTube only. You can still enjoy the show, but most of you, I don't know what percentage are going to be going on, and we are going to discuss how many wins for the Packers, the Lions, the Bears, and Minnesota, and probably ask Bryan Bulaga about the Final Four. I'm not curious enough about things other than Bryan Bulaga, Green Bay Packers. Bucks basketball next. We go to YouTube. Quarter 3, Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour next. Third quarter, the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour. I don't know that we've done this, the over-under for wins for all the teams in the division. I've done it, but I'm not sure I've done it with you, and I'm old, so I forget. Have we addressed how many wins the various sites have for the Packers? I don't think we have.
Nope.
All right, here we you ready to go?
Yep.
And you can have whatever opinion you want on this. Green Bay, over 9.5, under 9.5. It's about even. I just think I'm scared because that seems so easy. I must like the team. 10 wins. I can't comprehend them not winning 10 games. I think they're that good as a football team. Maybe it's based on if the Bears are better, but they were 1-5 in the division. There's no way they're going 1-5. They will do better in the division. Now, the rest of their schedule may be tough, so take it from there. Packers, over or under 9.5 wins, Bryan Bulaga.
So, we talk about the schedule, but they got the third place schedule now, right? Like they're playing in the third place schedule since they took third in the division. So I don't know if it's going to be tougher or not. But and I, you know what, you can say a schedule is going to be tough on preseason, and then you never know how it goes based as the season starts playing out and all that, and teams start to play good or bad or injuries. But like you start to look at 17 games. I mean, when we were playing and there was 17, if there were 17 games and someone put a line out with us and with Aaron Rodgers in 2014 had 9.5 wins, people would have been putting millions of dollars on 9.5 and banging the over on that all day. So like, I mean, I'm just looking at that 9.5 wins for this team with 17 games. Like, I have to take the over. Like, I have to take, like, it just makes, I can't fathom them being under that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. So like, I gotta be over. I have to, you know what I mean? Like they're going to be better than 1-5. They have to be better than 1-5 in the division. They have the third place, the third place record, those games in the, with how they finished in the division. So I'm taking the over on that one.
As I said, I'm just a little worried because it seems so easy. And the thing you learn on gambling is when you think it's too easy, then it might not be. But I look back, I like the team. We've debated and continue to debate Goody and how good he is. But my discussion on that is like, is he good? And then how good? And LaFleur, not that he's good, but how good and how tough is it to get to that next level? You have the level of getting in the playoffs, which they've been 7 seed. That's not good enough. It makes it too hard to advance. So to me, the next level is you get to the NFC Championship game. And I think they're good enough to do that. But this is just saying, are they going to be good? 10-7 is not special.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, to me, like, okay, so like we would look at this back when it was 16 games. Right? You're 10-6. You're just getting in. You're just sneaking into the show, right? Like, that to me, that's bang average. When you looked at the 16 game schedule, you go 10-6, you're just sneaking in. Like, you just start thinking about playoffs at 10 wins. Like, that's when you go, okay, now we can start thinking about the playoffs when you hit 10. Like, that's like the bare minimum, or that was the bare minimum. So like, to me, you gotta be at 10. So if I think they're a playoff team, I gotta take the over. I got to take the over if I think they're a playoff team, which I think they are. So to me, I gotta go with it because I think they're a playoff team.
And to pick them to be less than 10 wins means something has to happen. Jordan Love is, you always have injuries, but I don't even discuss that because that exists for every team. And you would discuss it to me if there's a major injury concern. If Jordan Love was coming back from an injury and you have no idea how good he's – if Jordan Love was at Christian Watson's level, I don't think they'd probably be at 9.5. They might be at 8.5. And that, to me, I worry about, but it's not like it has that much impact. So forget other than injuries that exist. I don't see how it happens. You want, and we debate, I want the team to be better, but the defense is good. The offense is good. It just, there needs to be more greatness. And, all right, so I feel better now that you're in the same club. All right, Detroit over 10.5. Detroit's going to have 2 coordinators, but so that's 11-6.
Yeah.
I don't feel as confident about that as the Packers, but they're good if their players come back. I don't know the injuries that set up. Take it away,
so
Bryan.
To me, so here's the kicker to me on that, right? Like, they did not do anything to really help themselves in the pass rusher department this offseason, right? They're really relying on Hutchinson to come back healthy. That's what they're banking on big time, that he comes back and he's completely normal, if not better, from that nasty injury he had last season. Now, for the sake of him, I hope he does, right? Like, I hope the kid comes back and he's good to go. Like, I really do. I don't like seeing injuries on anyone. I want guys to be healthy. I want them to make as much money as humanly possible. I want these teams to pay all these guys hundreds of millions of dollars. That's what I want. But like, I don't know how guys are going to recover from these types of injuries. That's very hard to judge. And Detroit really didn't make any moves to supplement that D line from a defensive end pass rushing standpoint, right? I mean, Zadarius left. They didn't kind of bring him back. So, like, how they're looking on that standpoint, I don't know, because we saw what happened to them last year. They kind of got gutted through the air. Like, you look at Washington in that playoff game, there wasn't really a pass rush. They kind of got gutted. And if that continues to happen, right, that's an issue for them. That's their weakness. Their weakness is if they can't get home, that's a problem. And without Hutchinson, that's the open blind spot for them. Like that is their issue. Now, if he comes back and he's good, there's a different story, right? We saw the way they were clicking when he was there, and it's a different story. And we don't know what they're going to do in the draft. So there's a couple variables there that could still happen. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I still like them at 11 wins. Offensively, they're still so talented. The offensive line's still so good. The skill positions are still so good. Goff is still good. You look at, in division, you got to look at them at least breaking even in the division, right? Like, I think they break even at worst in the division, right? Like, to me, so, you look at 3 wins at worst there. I think they probably beat Chicago twice, so you look at 4 wins, bare minimum there. And then what they do the rest of the way, I don't know. I'd have to look at their schedule, but like, I think that they're over. I think that they're at 11 wins. I do.
I don't feel as confident in that as I do in the Packers getting to 10. But I could see if you were.
Okay, so like here's my question, right? So like, if we feel good about Green Bay getting to 10, you think Green Bay and Detroit are gonna have the same record?
I would bet Detroit will have 1 game better.
Yeah.
So, but I just think maybe I'm being the homer by giving Green Bay more benefit
No,
because
I know,
I don't know Detroit as well. I like the over in both. Now I think this is the one that may be affecting the numbers for those two, and that's the Bears. The Bears are over. It's 8.5. Now you get a little bit more if you pick the over 8.5 than if you go under 8.5. You got to pay more to win your $100 if it's under 8.5. But if the Bears are better, that's going to clearly affect the record of Green Bay and Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to win 9 games. I could easily see 8 and 9, but they do have a much better offensive line. They do have a better coach. It comes down to how bad was the leadership and coaching last year, right? If it turns out to have been really, 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 really bad, then maybe they could get to 9 wins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still at under 9, but I think they're going to make an improvement. I do. I think they'll be at that 7 or 8 mark. I think that's where that's going to be their sweet spot. While they did improve the guard position and the center position, they haven't done anything at the tackle position. I get they drafted the kid from, I think, Tennessee last year at tackle. He went out there. He struggled mightily. He struggled a lot. Does he make that big of a jump from year 1 to year 2 where he struggled big time and all of a sudden this year he's a world beater? Most likely not. Okay, so say he does turn it around and he's somewhat average this year. Who's playing the other tackle position? Who's doing that? So, like, you might have secured your interior, but now who's playing your edges? And, like, to me, there's still questions to be had with that. Defensively, I think they were good defensively. You know what I mean? I mean, they had good players. I thought I thought Eberflus did a good job defensively, to be honest with you. But I guess we'll just have to see, new coordinator, new scheme. We'll see we'll see how it goes, right? Like, I mean, it's hard to tell right now, but I still think I'm taking the under. I that's where I'm at.
That's reasonable. All right, now we get to Minnesota. I'm not saying anything. I want you to answer because I just don't know. It's 8.5 again. I mean, everybody's just assuming, the odds maker, there's no way they'll do next year or this year what they did last year. But they got to win 9 to get over. What do you think?
Man, this one is so tough. It is so tough because you know the talent on the team, right? Like the team is so talented, from the skill, from the line to the defense. Like the talent. It's the quarterback. It literally comes down to the quarterback that nobody knows anything about. Vegas has no idea about him either. That's why that line is so iffy. They don't even know. And the thing is, Vegas could get punished on that line. Like, you know what I mean? They could get punished on that thing because, like, I mean, they have no idea. So, oh man, like, and no one saw, like you said, no one saw what came last year with Darnold. No one had any idea that was going to happen. And as much as people think, McCarthy's, he was good at Michigan, and he may be the answer. That oh,
I can help you out. You know what gamblers tell me? Pass. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
I don't feel confident in either. If I had to, it's just hard to go say that they're only going to win 8 games as good as they were last year. But, yeah, I would probably pick under, but I think I would, based on what I just heard from you, I think I'll stay away. There's just too much iffy.
Yes, it's too iffy for me. It's hard. Like, because if the kid can go out and manage it like Darnold, they're going to win They're going to win 9 games. Like, if you can manage it and just get the ball to Jefferson, get the ball to Aaron Jones, get the ball to, Addison and Hutchins, or the tight end from Iowa, and like, and manage the game, you're going to win 9 games. The defense is going to do what it does under Flores. Like, you're going to be fine. And the head coach is phenomenal. Like, right, he's able to put the quarterback in good positions, and like, that's the one kicker that's making me kind of like side to the over. Yep. Is that the head coach is very smart, and he understands what the quarterback can and can't do, and he's able to like manipulate the offense to get him to do what he needs to do. So like, I'm staying away from it, but like, I'm trending towards like they're going to get to 9, and that may be like their peak, but I think they get to 9, and that's like max.
And it would not 10-7, 9-8, 9-8, 11-6. Those would be the records of the 4 teams if they all hit the over just barely. Starting with Detroit at 11-6, the Packers 10-7, then the Bears and Minnesota 9-8, which would seem possible. They could be that good, but I don't know that. I'd have to ask somebody. The Institute, I can't believe every team in a division has ever all gone over. I'm guessing somebody went under. I did also want to ask you, unless there's anything about the division that I know what it is. So I also made a wager that somebody on the Packers will have 1,000 yards receiving. I get to get the tight ends and the wide receivers, but I said, just don't ask me who. I don't know. But I think somebody, either a tight end or a wide receiver on the Packers, is going to get to 1,000 yards. I just expect that because of expecting a better Jordan Love, or if he stays healthy, he has more games to get yardage. Do you want to join my club, or what's your general thought on somebody catching 1,000 yards for the Packers this season?
Yeah, I think it happens because, like, first of all, I don't think that either of those guys, Wicks or Reed, or even Dobbs, for that matter, play as bad as they did or as inconsistent as they did last year. Like, I just don't see that happening. I think they're better players than that. And I'll continue to say that. And someone tweeted at me yesterday, you can't win with a bottom 5 wide receiver group. Like, I don't think they're that bad. Like, I really don't. I think they played poorly last year. Yes, they were inconsistent. I will agree with you on that. And I will 100% like side with you on that. They did not play up to their potential last year. But I don't think that's who they are as players. I really don't. I think they're better than that. And I think how they played last year was a little wake up call. Like, we can't, like, that's not good enough. And you know, when another player like Jacobs steps up to a microphone and says, we need to bring in a number 1, that even lights a little more fire, right? And that's another wake up call. And that gets those guys even more motivated. Now, how that translates onto the field, we're going to find out. And I think it's going to be good. And which one of those guys is going to be the 1,000-yard guy? I don't know. It could be either one of them. And like, that's what we expected last year, and it didn't come to fruition. But I think it could be any one of those guys. And I think it could be Kraft, how they utilize him. I mean, he could easily be a 1,000-yard guy. You know what I mean? No problem. But it's just how he gets utilized in the offense. So I'm not going to pick one of the 4. I'm not going to pick because I think it could be any one of them. I don't know as much Dobbs, because Dobbs is a little more, you know, he's a little more third down, like go-to guy on third downs. And the other 2, Wicks and Reed, are a little more go-to all the time on first and second down, you know, and they get more of the balls thrown to them on early downs and go-to. But Kraft is the guy that he's always looking to. He's like his safety valve. He's always throwing the ball. So I think it could be any 4, but I think there's going to be one. I think there's going to be a 1,000-yard guy.
I will admit, with Watson out, they have to throw the ball to somebody. And I'm counting on the last 2 or 3 games of the year with so-and-so is at 870 yards. We got to get him to 1,000. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver in who knows how many years. So that if anybody is reasonably close late in the year, they're going to get it done.
Got to push the ball to him. Got to push the ball to him.
That's my theory. Other than that, I guess we'll just. I don't ask much about the draft because I just don't. I don't think anybody can know, and you're banking not on the players, you're banking on the GM, and Goody's been really good the last couple of years with players that have made an impact immediately, and you think they should be good. So I can't get any information on has his staff changed, have they had a different approach, or what's going on that explains. And maybe it just all evens out. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's listen, I don't think there's like a magic like potion behind it or a magic like formula. I think it comes down to obviously it's work, right? It's work, it's scouting, it's really putting in the details of finding the guys that fit the scheme. And to be honest, right, like, and this is like, I mean, I'm maybe like this is Mr. Hindsight here. More guys fit the schemes that Halfley plays than guys that fit schemes that the Green Bay Packers have played in the past. They just do, right? Like the 4-3 scheme that gets played right now in Green Bay, more guys tend to fit that scheme and can thrive in that scheme than what was being run, because the scheme that was being run prior, there's so many things that guys have to learn. There's so many different reads. There's so many different checks. There's just a million things that guys
But they must use it because they feel that it's more difficult for the offense to figure out. Correct?
It's not.
Well, then why? Not. All right, my follow-up question.
It's not.
Then why?
I don't know. It's just listen, dude. I mean, it's been that's been run forever. That 3-down. I mean, it was Capers ran it. We went against it. The Steelers, where Dick LeBeau was running it, and Pitt. Like we've been going against that defense forever. I went against it forever, and it's starting to slowly kind of fade out of the league, right? Like not many teams are running a
So it
true
wasn't that harder to
defense.
play against.
No, no. Once you were easy, or once you were able to identify like the true down rushers, right? Like once you were able to see the down rushers and identify your rushers, it was very simple then to make your IDs and make your checks. And if you have a quarterback like we always had, that could like adjust to the coverages, you could pick it apart very easily. Now why everyone is struggling right now against the Eagles, why people struggled against Vic Fangio with the 49ers is because when you have a nasty pass rush, which the Eagles and the 49ers had, and you don't allow anything over the top, it's a bad combination. So you have a pass rush that gets home really quick, nothing can get over the top, and everything is like we sink back and we bum rush everything up close. So like the only option is to get rid of things quick, and everyone attacks things short. So like it's like there's not much there to get, right? And that's what the Eagles do so well. And that's what the 49ers did so well. And that's why Vic Fangio's scheme is so good. But that's not the Dom Capers scheme. That's the Vic Fangio, version of what he does with this 3 down and things like that. It's a different variation of it.
But if they asked you, which we determined earlier in the show they didn't, you would say, I played against them. 4-3's better when you factor in everything. Again, we understand they're not going to ask you, but you would say you would tell a team to do a 4-3.
Yes, I would say do the 4 down scheme like they're doing right now all the time. I would say that's the best scheme to do. I think from a run game standpoint and from a pass game standpoint, I think it's easier to find seams in the run game against the 3 down front, and how you can find seams and kind of manipulate those fronts in the run game. From that standpoint, in the pass game, there's so many times in those schemes where they're dropping DNs out and they're giving tackles a break, and tackles are able to come down, slam down, and close off edges, and quarterbacks can roll out and there's just so many things that happen that make it easy on pass protecting units, where when you're in the 4 down scheme, it is constant pressure. It's constant rushing. It's constant 4 guys coming after you. Then if they add another guy, it's 5 on 5. And it's constant pressure. And to me, that's the best thing, is always making sure that the offensive linemen are under duress. If that's what you're doing every single snap, that the offensive line has to block somebody, that is what stresses out the offense the most, that they're always having to block someone and make sure that they're responsible for a body. Because if you're making sure that if there's an offensive lineman that's just hanging out there and gets to just clean someone's clock, that's a guard's blocking, that's you're literally just not you're making free work for somebody. Like you're not making someone work. And you're creating time for the quarterback. It never made sense to me when I was playing.
Have you ever had this discussion with anybody on the defensive side?
I would always ask Clay, why'd they drop you there? Why would they drop you in coverage? I don't know. Why would you pass rush? In practice, I'd be like, why'd you drop? I don't know. I'm like, that was a free play for me. Why'd you drop? Made no sense. I just never understood it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know. I'm just, you're talking to a junior high student here, but I look forward to passing us along to somebody and hear what they say, because you would know. You lived it.
Yeah. I always thought that when you look at it, and the 49ers, obviously, when they were humming, when they were the best is when they got into their nickel defense, and it was Alden, Justin, Ahmad Brooks, and Sapoga or Ray McDonald, and they were in their 4 down front, and they were rushing. And Bowman and Willis were the 2 inside backers, and they were in nickel, and those 4 and those 2 were on the field. That's when they were at their best. And it was Fangio's 4 down, 2 linebackers, and the rest behind it. They were so dominant that they were almost unplayable. Almost unplayable. So like you almost wanted to get them in base defense so that they got out of that. Because they were unplayable when they had the 4 down, when they were in nickel, because those 4 and those, the front 6 were ridiculous.
You and a quarterback would said, if I got base defense, I better make my plays then. We better do whatever we can do. Because if they get to that other stuff, it's 10 times harder to do anything. That would have changed your play calls.
Yeah, we can manipulate it a little bit more when they were in base. We can do some different things, and they would play a little more. I don't want to say soft, but they would play a little more conservative in base than they would in nickel. In nickel, they were coming after you, and that was difficult with those guys. Like they were so good, and that's the same way Seattle was with therefore with the same defense that we're playing. When they had that great vaunted defense, that's what they did, and it's tough to play against.
And so teams would not do it if they don't have the rush, good enough rush with that 4, or what would be your analysis of why teams don't do it?
That don't just run just like a 4-3 defense.
Well, no, why they wouldn't run the defense that you just said, but basically is 4-2-5, right?
Oh, like a nickel? Well, I mean, listen, everyone gets to nickel. I mean, that's essentially what a lot of teams are forced to run now with the way offenses play. Everyone's base defense, like it depends on what your base structure is. Like now Green Bay's is the 4-3 defense. Obviously, there's teams like Pittsburgh who still are the 3 down defense. They still live in that same defense that Green Bay did for a long time with Don Capers and the LeBeau era. Pittsburgh still lives in that era, right? They're still doing that with TJ and those guys out there. But at the core of every defense, because of how offenses play, they play a nickel a bunch. And as we're starting to see the NFL evolve, teams are getting multiple pass rushers. So like to say a team doesn't have pass rushers, they do. Every team has pass rushers. It's just, are they interior pass rushers or are they edge rushers? And I mean, it's very rare for a team to have them all stacked up like it was, say, for that 49ers team, or say for that Seattle team that we had always go against, or say for when I was young in the league, the Minnesota teams or the Chicago teams that had them all up and down the line. Like that just doesn't happen anymore because of the salary cap. You can't do it anymore. Like it's just rare to happen. But every team's got the dudes now. Like they got the edge guys. I mean, we'll just say for a good example, like you can look at, I mean, for the longest time, I mean, I remember when we were going against Minnesota, they had Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin. Like those 2 dudes were absolute studs ripping off the edge. Like Dave would have Everson, not have Danielle Hunter. It's like, wow, this sounds like a really fun day.
Well, we're going to have to continue this because we've run out of time. So technically that's not possible. YouTube, we could go all night. But I do want to get your quick thoughts on the Final Four because I'm curious if you like any one of those teams or you're watching. I just think Duke's the best, and I'm curious to see if Houston or someone else can beat them. But
yeah, I'm gonna go. I like Duke and Florida in the final, and I'm gonna go with. But now that the freshman from Duke is healthy and playing, I'm gonna go Duke. Like I just think now that he's healthy and playing, I got to go with Duke. I just think they're playing the best.
And usually I say what's next. But I don't think anything's next. We're on YouTube, so I think when we're done, it's over. Always a treat. Thanks, Bryan.
Yep.
The Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour is over. Whatever you want to do is next.